Peace and blessings, everyone. Okay, we've come to the last story in many windows, up in the fiction part of the book. Now, this story is called TJ Coming In from the Cold. And remember, I talked about the story arc, how the whole section, the whole bunch of stories all build up to a certain conclusion. Now, when you're doing that as an author, there's two criteria of a successful story, the final story. There's two criteria. For one thing, and it needs to feel natural. It has to be like, oh yeah, okay, I get that. And the other one, it needs to be unexpected. So that's a pretty tough combination. You got to go for both feeling natural and feeling unexpected. And I think I was able to accomplish both of them with this last story. And you can be the judge of that. Okay, it's called TJ Coming In from the Cold. Now, we saw TJ just briefly in the previous story about them going down to the the Daily Bread Food Bank. So all of the kids, Stephanie and Benjamin and Jamil and Natalie and Deepa, they were all down at the food bank helping poor people by giving them Christmas dinner. And TJ unexpectedly showed up. Now, you'll find out why. So TJ's telling this story. The nice thing about this soup kitchen is they don't ask any questions. You might not be homeless. You might have a family, but it's still okay. They don't want to know why your parents left for Christmas dinner at Aunt Millie's without you. The food's not bad. They try. Mostly old men shuffle in before me. They look tired, scruffy. There are sad stories behind their eyes. I plunk down in a folding chair that creaks a bit with my weight. They even have tablecloths with fat little Santas on all over them. Somehow they make me smile. I pick up the menu. Roast turkey, gravy, mashed potatoes, biscuits, cranberry sauce, peas, and carrots and pumpkin pie. It's lucky I look up just then, because who should come out of the kitchen wearing one of those white aprons except that boy Jamil from school? What's he doing here? I duck under the table. He doesn't see me, just puts down a tray of biscuits behind the counter of the cafeteria-style kitchen and goes back inside. Deepa, he calls, we're going to need more peas and carrots. Deepa? Another kid from my class? How many more of them are here? I slip into the kitchen and hide behind the swinging door that's been propped open. I can see pretty well through the crack of the door. All 5 of them are busy in the kitchen with the grown-ups. Such a scene. They're mixing and stirring, laughing and joking. They're a team even when they're not playing basketball. Natalie pounces under the table for some reason. From my angle, I can't see why, but I hear Stephanie squeal about a kitten. They found a kitten? They're all gathered around it, petting and stroking the little ball of fur. I can't take it. I don't belong here. I'm turning to leave when it happens. He's seen me. I'm frozen, my feet super glued to the floor. Hey, TJ, Jamil says. Look, you guys, see who's here. They smile, wave, gather around me. Stephanie says, I'm so glad you came to help out at the shelter, TJ. I mumble, hoping she'll think that's a yes. And before I know it, I have an apron on me and a ladle in my hands. I am dumping mashed potatoes onto plates. There's enough food that we all eat too, out at the tables after we're done serving. Thank you, bless you, thank you. Don't think I've heard so much thankfulness in one evening ever before. I am so tired by the time I get home. My bones hurt. Good. Nobody's here. No one to yell at me. I go upstairs to change my slushy socks. I turn on the TV just so there's some sound in the house, but I don't feel like watching. The overly friendly hosts and the opera Christmas choirs don't do much for me, so I shut it off. I call Tom, even though it's long distance. The machine kicks in, so I hang up and call Rudy instead. His mom answers, and it takes a while for him to get on the other end. How are you doing? Okay, I guess. Just hearing his voice again makes me laugh in a crazy, desperate kind of way. I make myself stop. Rudy says, how's the new place? I tell him about the fight I had that first day. I expect that will get a bit of a rise out of him, but I feel as though I'm talking to myself. I'm in the middle of describing how crazy this school is when he interrupts. TJ, I gotta go. I'm heading out to meet Tom at Rosie's. Oh. He says, I don't want to be late. Late? Since when did he ever care about being late? TJ, you still there? Yeah, sure, I say. You better go. Later. He hangs up and that's it. I'm still sitting there with my hand on the phone when the car's headlights flash across the window. They're home. I run upstairs and jump into bed. When they come in, they're real noisy. I've got my back to the door when one of them opens it to check on me. From the perfume, I can tell it's Mom. TJ, she says, you okay? Maybe she's sorry she yelled at me. She spends a lot of time being sorry, my mom. The next day I feel so restless, nothing to do, nobody to shoot hoops with. It's too slushy anyway. The rest of the holidays aren't much better. Could it be I'm looking forward to school? On the first day back, Mrs. Williams looks happy and excited. She clasps her hands together like a little kid and says, "Did you all have a good holiday break?" I don't answer, but many of the kids call out, "Yeah." Mrs. Williams says, "Now I know not all of you have holidays around this time of year, but I thought we'd take a few moments just to share what we all do to celebrate. You know, celebrate our celebrations." If anyone else had said such a thing, I would have groaned. What's wrong with me? Am I getting soft? At least I'm not the only one. The other kids didn't groan either. Some of them even have big, goofy smiles on their faces. Deepa sticks up her hand first. She says, "Can I tell even if it was back in November?" "Sure," says Mrs. Williams. "I had a wonderful Diwali," Deepa says. "I got to talk to Bani. Remember her?" A few kids in the class nod. "And she's doing great." I think of Tom and Rudy and slump a bit lower in my seat. Some of the other kids talk about visiting family and the stuff they got for Christmas. The class grows silent when Benjamin says, "I played dreidels with my great-grandmother." It's such an odd thing for him to say. I'm surprised he'd even tell us. He looks thoughtful, like there's more to it that he's not telling. Jamil says, "We had Eid a while ago, and my uncle came to visit from Pakistan. I never saw him before in my life." Mrs. Williams says, "What about you, Natalie?" Natalie shrinks into her seat a bit. "Ours was way back in spring." "That's okay. We'd love to hear about it too." So she tells us about Buddha's birthday, about washing the baby statue, and somehow it reminds me of baby Jesus. Stephanie is all excited about finding her kitten at the soup kitchen. She opens her mouth like she's going to say, "I was there too." Then she seems to change her mind. Mrs. Williams asks for other stories. A few kids put up their hands, and they talk a bit more about gifts and family. She pauses and asks if there are any others who'd like to share. Then she looks at me. "TJ, what about you?" I shake my head, but I am thinking. I'm thinking hard and fast. It's recess time before I know it. Jamil grabs the basketball and the other four run out with him towards the net. I stand in the corner by the window so it doesn't look like I'm watching. If they asked me, I could give them some pointers. The wind swirls around and blasts me in my corner. I roll up my collar so the icy air can't get down my neck. Little kids are playing hopscotch, bigger kids are playing soccer, and I'm just standing here in my corner like the biggest loser. Then Deepa misses a pass and the basketball comes bounding towards me. I catch it without thinking. It feels good in my hands. It's a nice ball, perfectly inflated. Deepa's watching like maybe she's worried I won't give it back. I dribble the ball as I walk toward them. I can't resist adding a few fancy moves between my legs, around my back. I finish off by spinning it on the tip of my finger, and then I pop it over to Deepa. "Here you go." I watch them throw the ball around for a bit, and I realize I'm holding my breath. Why? Why should I care? Finally, they stop. They look at me. Benjamin has the ball. He calls up, "Come on, TJ." That's all. I'm there in an instant. Benjamin holds the ball out. I take it from his hands. "Want to play 3-on-3?" Benjamin says, "Sure. I'm on your team." By the time recess is over, I'm not cold anymore. In fact, I'm sweating. I pass the ball back to Jamil and we talk basketball ball moves and strategy all the way into the classroom. The end. Now, it's kind of subtle. Okay, it's kind of subtle. Like he just joins them for a game of basketball. I think one of the biggest awkwardness that a lot of kids face is that feeling of being on the outside, just wanting to play. But I think the best way to handle it is don't take it too seriously. Just kind of join, you know. One person once said that, look, if you want to, if especially for boys, this is especially true for boys, because boys mostly socialize through sport. Okay, that's the way they mostly do it. So if you're a new kid, just take a ball to school and start playing with it, and others will pretty soon they will join in. Okay. Now, really, what it comes down to, though, TJ himself has changed a lot, and it all comes down from kindness. The kindness that Stephanie showed him at the food bank, just the kindness. And the funny thing about kindness is it's kind of contagious. Okay, if you have a group of people and they're all really kind to each other, anybody else almost wants to compete with them in terms of kindness. It feels like churlish. Churlish is a big word. It's a lovely word. It sounds like what it means. It's got like onomatopoeia. But churlish is like kind of cheap. You know, like it feels kind of like cheap. If you don't, if you don't participate in the kindness, then you look like you're the odd one out. So just like meanness can be contagious, kindness can also be contagious. And so TJ, he is a little bit of a bully. He is. And I hinted that he's done things with Rudy and Tom. Okay, he's done things with his old friends Rudy and Tom, but they're behind him. And he's all by himself at this new school, and he's got a choice, like we all do. We all have a choice to go to change our lives. We don't have to stick by what we've done in the past. We can be a new person every single day. I know that sounds kind of it sounds kind of wishy, like that, oh, I wish I could do that. But no, it's not true. You can actually change. You can go past any mistakes you've made in the past. Tomorrow's a new day. And you can be whoever you want, especially if you've moved to a new place and nobody knows you. You've got like a clean start. I mean, me, I made so many mistakes as a kid in my school. I wished we would move. I thought, oh, if we move, maybe I could get past all the mistakes because I grew up in a very, like I said, I was really poor. And I grew up in a very kind of rich, posh area, which made it doubly hard because I was a poor kid and a brown kid at a time where everybody else was white and everybody else was rich, as far as I was concerned. So I always wanted to move so that I could start fresh. I know that's kind of weird, but I did. And TJ, he gets this chance. He gets this chance to move and to start fresh. And he has this choice right at the beginning of the whole collection of stories. Like, is he going to socialize himself? Is he going to kind of accept the new rules of this community that everybody gets along? I mean, they're a bunch of nice people. And yeah, okay, he's got a past. Maybe his family's not the nicest family. Maybe his mom's kind of mean or whatever. I hint at a lot of that stuff because actually it doesn't matter. The most important thing is TJ. And the reason I wrote this is because I've always felt sorry for kids who are dogged by their reputation. Okay, I know what that feels like. I've always felt sorry about that. And I guess, I don't know, something about me kind of gravitates to those poor misunderstood kids. Because, like, I was kind of one of them too. I wasn't a bully. I was actually quite the opposite. I was bullied. And some of those kids are bullies, but I actually kind of gravitate to some of them because I feel like, especially when they're children, there's still always hope. And for the teachers who might be watching this, I want you to take on the responsibility, be like Mrs. Williams, okay, where she is just and she is fair, even to the bully kid. Don't let the child's reputation precede them. If you would treat the brainiac kid in a certain way, if they've done something, then have the same standard for all of them. When you have fairness and justice, oh, it is such a blessing within your classroom. No teacher's pet, but you have fairness and justice. Then it just makes kids rise to the occasion. It brings the best out of all of us. And that's really why I wrote Many Windows. I mean, I wrote it really to show how a community can get along. And at this time of our life, with so many difficulties going on with the pandemic, there's breaks my heart. There's a lot of kids suffering, and it's going to get bad. It's going to get bad. And I see that, and I want to reach out and I want to help. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload some more videos that will talk about how to get through some really tough times. I mean, I've been through some really tough times. I mean, there were times when I really wanted to give up. And the fact that I didn't made all the difference in the world. And I want kids to know that they should not give up, that they should keep going. It will get better. It's like a promise. It gets better. Now, I promised I was going to do a draw for a free copy of the book. Okay. And now that I've read all 6 fiction stories, no, sorry, 7, 7, can't count, all 7 fiction stories, I'm going to do a draw for a free copy of the book. And hopefully it's in North America. If it's outside North America, I don't think I can mail it out there, but I'll mail it within North America. So here it goes. I had a lot of retweets. Let's see. Is it this one? Yes! Kevser Ozer. Okay, she retweeted. So, Kevser Ozer, I'm going to send you a free copy of the book. Thank you so much for watching, and be strong out there. You know, have hope. Things will get better. Okay, have hope. We're all in this together. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck with your homeschooling.